All right, welcome everybody. We just wanted to play 9 to 5 from Dolly Parton in remembrance of her and her commitment to working people, to unions, to our students. She actually gave away over 300 million free books to anyone who signed up for a free book for children. She was definitely all about the kids. So thank you, Dolly Parton, for everything that you've done for working families. Welcome to our back to school town hall. We are going to jump right in. We've got a full packed agenda. So here we go. If we can please get to the next slide. All right, so this is what we'll be covering this evening. We're going to be celebrating some of our contract wins and ongoing campaigns. We're going to debrief the national convention that just took place in July. We're going to preview some of our work in the fall, including some of the threats and opportunities that are coming up, and then end with our plans to win this November and beyond. Next slide, please. All right. So even though we are having a very challenging financial landscape in a lot of our locals, we have been busy this summer continuing to organize and bargainize and negotiate strong contracts. So let's take a quick look at some of our locals that have won contracts over the summer. There are over a dozen, actually, and the Pittsfield Federation of School Employees just had their contract ratified by their city council just today. And so while some people may have gone away this summer or stepped away from the table, we had over a dozen locals that were definitely continuing the work and very busy with fighting for these strong contracts. And as we continue to ratify our contracts and bargain, we know that our ability to do so depends on our collective action. We were really proud to be a part of the AFT National Convention this past summer, and we had a number of delegates from a number of locals. So we're going to just preview some of the highlights from our national convention. So we had over 131 delegates or 131 delegates from Massachusetts alone from 14 different locals. And some of the highlights, we definitely had a lot of our members working on lots of different things, whether it was welcoming the over 3,000 delegates as sergeants of arms and registering them, helping on the election committee. We had our B2 president and vice president featured as panelists. We had Living Legacy Awards for a number of our um, members who have been a part of the AFT for over 25, 40, and even 50 years. And then we had some of our members also recognized at the AFT Black Caucus Luncheon. And then I was proud to have been reelected as an AFT National Vice President and renamed to the AFT's Executive Committee nationally. In addition, next slide, please. We were very active in the business section of the convention. We actually introduced 4 resolutions, and 3 of them were adopted on the floor of the convention. Another one of them was recommended through the committee to go to the exec council as well. We'll talk a little bit more about those resolutions in a bit, but you can see all of the resolutions at aft.org/about/resolutions. We could put that in the chat too if you'd like to see all of the resolutions that were passed at convention. But overall, AFT is growing and growing strong. We are actually the fastest growing union in the nation. We now have over 1.8 million members. I believe it's 1.875 in July. We launched a Democracy Defenders program, which we're going to talk a little bit more about later in tonight's town hall, as well as the Count Me In program. And every time we go to a convention, our delegates always do some kind of service project. And this time they partnered with Shiloh Baptist Church in DC and distributed over 5,000 books, 500 backpacks, and essential items to support 8 public schools and after-school programs in the DC area. Next slide, please. So we wanted to hear from a few of our delegates who actually attended the convention, and they're just going to share some of the highlights. So I want to introduce Suzanne Oliveris, who is a leader at the Lawrence Federation of Paraprofessionals and president. We have Vanessa LaRock from the Boston Teachers, longtime delegate. So we have different perspectives from new delegates, newer delegates, and then veteran delegates as well. And then Vanessa's also on the AFT board and B2 Para Council. And Vanessa Mendoza Marcado, who is a leader at the Chelsea's Teachers Union, a vice president, and was one of the newer delegates. So the first question for all three of you is just, what was one of your major highlights or takeaways from attending the convention? Why don't I start with our newest delegate, Suzanne, and then we'll go to Vanessa Mendoza Mercado and then Ms. LaRock. Oops, we can't hear you. Okay, while we work on the sound for you, Suzanne, why don't we, Vanessa Mendoza, you want to?
Does that work?
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
I'm sorry. My name is Suzanne Salaveras. I am the president of the Lawrence Federation of Paraprofessionals. And I do have to say, this was my first year. Even as a president, I didn't get to go the last time, but I did have delegates go. I have to say, I had a great time this year. It was an eye-opening experience that, really helped me appreciate the hard work that happens across all of the states. In some countries, there were some little ones there. I was lucky to attend with my brothers and sisters of my union. We had a great time. We dove into a lot of the policy and procedures. One of my favorite highlights, though, I will say with the trip was the resolution process. I was not aware of how much goes into everyone getting involved in what the floor looks like when you're actually voting and saying what you want to say against or for a resolution. The energy in the room was so contagious. I love learning about all the separate resolutions and how each and every state handles them. The discussions on the amendments was incredible. I just didn't have an idea of how many national organizations, it takes to prioritize amendments. You pick three over, I didn't realize that AFT, and national go through an amendment, and I thought it would only take like a couple of years, but I know it takes longer as I saw everybody getting involved. There is one thing I do have to say though, and I don't want to miss this, was the National Museum of African American History and Culture. I met a lot of people there. That was one of our favorite things to do. I was lucky to get in early, so we got to see a lot and we got to meet a lot of people that you're in and out. So we didn't get to talk to a lot of people, but that event was, it was truly an experience that I'm grateful that I was be able to attend.
Thank you so much. And we're so glad that you're a first-time delegate, and we hope that more of our members will continue to run for delegates in your local unions and also consider attending the next convention. Vanessa,
Hey everyone, can everyone hear me?
yes, we can hear you. Great.
This was my second convention, and a highlight for me was similarly the resolutions, especially as we introduced the safe schools and supporting our communities through immigration policy. Chelsea has been very impacted by immigration policy in the last couple of months and years. And so it was great to be able to hear from other locals in different communities across the country to hear what they were doing to support their own families and students and making sure that we're keeping our students safe. And so I was really proud to be able to stand on the floor with Jessica and the rest of the delegation to introduce this to be part of the resolution. I also thought it was really there was a portion of the convention that we heard from other locals and on their wins, and so it was really inspiring to hear the work that people have been doing across the country, where we have overlaps, where we can get ideas of how we can also get wins and bring them here. So this was a year of learning for me, and I also brought my son, so that was fun to be able to have my infant there with me, and there were other moms too and families. So it was great to have families at the convention as well.
We did. We had five young ones, at least in our delegation. And fun fact is there is a childcare option that a lot of people don't realize exists. Thanks for sharing. And Ms. LaRock.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Vanessa LaRock, proud member of the Boston Teachers Union. Oh my goodness, over 25 years. First, excuse the noise in the background because I do have volleyball practice going on as though I'm in the office, but it's still very loud in the
We
back.
can't hear it for what it's worth. We can't hear anything.
Okay, well that's good because I hear him laugh very loudly. I think I have several highlights, some of which the ladies already touched on. For me, I think this year the resolution process was I've always, for the past few years, I've done um, human rights resolutions. Even when I volunteered as Sergeant at Arms, that was my assignment. And I found this year it ran so smoothly. Everyone appeared to be on the same page. There was lots of great conversations amongst all of the locals. People did a little bit of collaboration. When certain things were brought up, and it was like, okay, well, we're going to take this one away, or this one made it. So it was just good to see democracy in action um, during that whole process. And speaking of democracy, that's actually another one of my highlights, defending democracy. AFT votes has always been one of my favorites. So anything around that has always been amazing. And I think this year they've also done a good job of um, informing people and helping people to organize and letting them know how you organize around democracy and what that looks like within your local and within all of our unions.
Awesome. Thank you. Right. So we are hearing from different perspectives. And, the second question is just, can you talk about maybe something that you had where that was a takeaway that you were able to bring back to your local or you plan to bring back to your local and either implement or, an idea shared, action shared, but something you can bring back and actually share with the rest of your members?
So I'm going to say for me, our group stuck together very closely during the whole thing. We enjoyed just basically going to most of the resolutions. We went to some of the meetings, some of us separated at times. I think one of the biggest parts was the paraprofessional resolution because I am a paraprofessional and we all know it's hard for us to get the things that we need. One of the highlights was when New York was came on the screen and started talking about what they were doing. I know they weren't there yet I think it was like the first day. But just knowing what they were doing there and bring it to where we were. I think my group itself, looking at what they were doing for themselves, bringing it back to my union and my members, and just letting them know that, there are other paraprofessionals who go through the same situations that we do. We're not the only one, which was huge. And I think the second part for me was the election process. I had no idea how it worked. I have a great treasurer. She's been before, so she walked us through all of it. I thought it would be like this big, hard, you have to write on paper, just like a regular election, but it was actually quick. And it was really having to understand you just write your name and like that's it. And it's a piece of paper and who you want to vote for. And we talked about it and we learned as a group who we wanted in there and who we didn't want in there, or who we met and who we didn't meet. That was the other thing. So having the conversations and bringing it back to our members, we just want to let them know that there's a lot of paraprofessionals, a lot of teachers, and they're all going through the same things that we're going through and learning to fight together. In solidarity, to make sure that we get what we need in our classrooms or just the safety concerns and things like that that are happening all around.
Great. Thank you. Vanessa?
One thing that I'm excited to bring back, there were mini trainings throughout the convention at the activist hub, and so there it was a space where delegates could go and you could choose a workshop, and a lot of it was also walk-in. And I attended a couple of data sessions, how to organize your local information, how to help to organize for future contract negotiations. And so I'm really excited to be able to bring back some of those tools as we're entering a contract negotiating year, but also I always forget how big our union is. Like we get to know AFT MA like as a state local, but then when you're there in the room with all the delegates, and this was one of the largest conventions, to be able to hear from everyone and say, "Oh yeah, like that is a resource I have as an AFT member. I can go and ask for support from National on research questions and how to survey members." So I think I'm really excited to be able to tap into more of those resources that are there, and we are not reinventing the wheel every time we want to have a member survey, you know?
Mhm. Awesome. Thanks. And wrap us up, Ms. LaRock. Oh, we're losing your sound.
So that's one thing
There
that
you
I'm
are.
actually, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can. Can you repeat what you said though?
One thing that I'm actually excited about that we've already started the ball rolling, like the ladies mentioned too, is definitely the paraprofessional resolution. As you saw when we stood there and Colleen Hart from the Boston Teachers Union spoke, we stood there in solidarity and we had paraprofessionals from across the state. And even going back to when we had our statewide conference here, the conversation had already started about how we can do collaborations across the state. And I think it's very important. We've already started that building, and I think this conference made us even closer and able to continue that building when it comes to contract negotiation and just everyday struggles that we deal with in our different bargaining units, and being able to pick each other's brains and saying, hey, Michelle, we're having this issue here. Have you dealt with this? And she could say, oh, well, we dealt with this and this is how we did it. And I'm like, oh, okay, we didn't think about that. So just being able to collaborate with our colleagues is one thing that I think we're definitely going to bring back and continue to do.
Awesome. All right, so I definitely heard some common themes and just the strength of our union and how big we are and learning and meeting people from other unions and in our debrief that we had for our delegates. I know that the nurses didn't realize actually that there were so many other nurses that are part of the AFT now. We're actually the second largest healthcare union nationally. And then there was a lot of specific events, not just for paraprofessionals and teachers, of course, but also the healthcare workers and higher ed too had a really big presence and strong presence as well. I know I saw at least one of our AUP delegates was is here with us as well. And so just to wrap us up, can you just give us in like 10 seconds in a very short sentence, maybe just one thing that you were most proud of for your union as a delegate? Who wants to start?
Um,
I can
Being
start.
proud of, that's
Okay.
hard because, the team that I was with, we're very close. We work very close together. And I think just being there together I was proud of my team that was there. They did a lot, and I'm very proud of all of them being there and helping us get through everything. Even though I wasn't able to get through some things, they were able to bring something to the table.
Awesome. Vanessa, Ms. LaRock, did you want to go next?
Sure. I am actually very proud of the whole Massachusetts delegation, especially proud of my BTU brothers and sisters because we showed up. And as always, we had BTU members volunteering in all forms and fashions, sergeant at arms, registration, credentials, panels, just volunteering to help people off the record. We had our retirees there, we had rank and file members, we had executive board members. So it was just really proud to when you look around and you see a BTU member helping someone. And it didn't necessarily have to be one of our own members. It could have been someone from California that just needed a smiling face. So that was one thing that I'm very proud of, and that's one thing I hear as I go to other states as well. It's always how welcoming the Boston Teachers Union members are. So that's one thing I'm very proud of.
Thanks. And Vanessa, last word.
Proud of our delegation as well, our state and our Chelsea local. We had two new delegates join us, and they always kept the conversation and discussions very, they brought in perspectives that I didn't think about. And so it was great to have other voices be part of the conversation.
Well, thank you three for joining us tonight and sharing a little bit of your experience. We're so glad that you were there. And also, I was extremely proud of our whole Massachusetts delegation, too. I think we really showed up, participated, helped out, stepped up, and had a really positive presence. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So we know that, again, in order to build strong unions and strong locals and win strong contracts, that we also have to make sure that we are getting our policies done, our vision, etc. So again, these were the resolutions that part of the business part of that we were a part of. This is the resolutions that we mentioned that we submitted actually prior to the convention that we got passed. But our resolutions are a reflection of our shared values and the work that we do together. And then next slide, please. And this is the next slide. Whoops. The next slide is the Democracy Defenders program that we talked about. And so this was definitely something that is really important. We did hear from experts on elections and did hear about the ways, unfortunately, that our democracy is being eroded and that there were people um, who have been purged off of rolls and that we've heard about obstructions for people who are should be able to vote but no longer have been able to or have had obstructions to them being able to vote. And so this Democracy Defenders program is with the AFL-CIO, and we hope that some of you may be interested in joining the Democracy Defenders program. This specific one is with the AFL-CIO, so it may require actually going to other states, like in Maine. I know they need help in Pennsylvania and even Michigan. I was on the phone earlier with the president of AFT Michigan about some of the challenges that they're having. But it really does matter, and we hope to be able to recruit more democracy defenders. Okay, and if you want to see all the resolutions, you can, of course, go to the AFT website. Now, when it comes to our work this fall, we have a lot to do too, and that's the Activist Hub that was mentioned earlier by one of our delegates with the Lawrence team and delegation. And one of the most important things that we can do actually is to sign members up to be a part of our union, because the more members we have, the stronger our power together collectively. And when we have strong union density, strong engagement, then we are able to win strong contracts. And so we'd like to invite Phil O'Connor, the president of the Lynn Teachers Union, and Gabs Carapicano, I hope I said that right. Babs, correct me if I'm wrong. I said it wrong. President of the North Shore Education Consortium, who are both also AFT vice presidents, to talk a little bit about what they have been doing in terms of um, actually building density and engaging members and signing up members. So, can you both just talk about the processes you've put in place to increase your membership and union density? Who wants to go first?
I can start.
Great. And Babs, you
Um,
guys had some challenges the last couple years, so maybe you can talk about where you were 2 years ago and what you've done since.
yeah, so a couple of years ago, we were at like 87% membership with a pretty high turnover rate. And from that, we just weren't having a great time. We had a pretty rough back and forth relationship with the administration. And then we sort of we pivoted. We went from being so headstrong and like ready to fight admin, and we kind of changed it around to cultivate a better relationship and to open up communication more, especially with our HR department. Through that, we've been able to get sort of every time that we have like turnover or hirings, they're quick to update us and give us that information now. And they've been pretty good at keeping us informed in that regard. I know not everyone is so lucky. Another thing that we did though was we had an external organizer come down, which was super useful. We've also taken advantage of the MOI trainings, which is super useful. Having internal people to know how to like organize folks is super beneficial. And I think that it's really helped us cultivate an open line of communication more so with our membership. Um, and then, yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah, so 2 years later, what are you all up to now?
uh, we are we're trying to continue to cultivate our relationship with our dues paying members and our non dues paying members. By doing that, we've sort of opened up the doors for more conversation to try to find out what's holding them back and try to meet them where they're at and to bring them aboard. It's still a work in progress. It can always be better, but we are working on that for this year and hoping to bring on more external organizers and take on more MOI trainings.
Great. And MOI is our member organizer program.
Yes, thank you. Sorry.
No problem. And I know, Babs, I think you're always aiming for 100%, right? So 87 is
Yeah.
actually not terrible.
It's not. We're at 89 now, I think, but there's another number that says 95%. I need to figure out which one we actually have.
All right. And Phil, how about you? What's going on in Lynn?
Oh, like every school district, lots going on right now. I hope everyone's start to the school year has gone off well, or if you're like me, you're holding on to summer break with like bated teeth because we don't start till Tuesday. So we traditionally have had pretty high union density in Lynn, specifically the teachers union, but it is a pretty rich union town. Currently, our density is in the high 90s based on our calculations through our own database, and we try our best to upload it to Connect as well too. So in terms of like signing new members, we usually have about 175 to 250 new educators every year in the public schools, and we have about 2,400 members total. So like we try and hit the ground running as soon as possible and actually try and get and shag as many cards as possible before the school year starts, because we all know once school starts, educators are really busy, particularly our union reps. And so we have in our contract Article 13, it's union privileges, and it basically allows us to participate in the district orientation where we can do an informational about the union and why to join. And additionally, we always get the new hires information within 10 days through HR. That is mandated in our contract as well too. It includes everything from, their name, address, personal, public email, school email, whatever it is. And then additionally, because we do have a lot of turnover, as I know a lot of our gateway cities do as well too, we'll have new teachers hired during the school year as well. And to be able to encourage them to join the union, we have language in our contract that they be excused from their teaching responsibilities, provided class coverage for 30 minutes to meet with the union rep and or myself to talk about the union specifically. They tend to really appreciate this because it often gets them out of a duty they don't want to do, like lunch duty, which is just brutal. But I think moving forward, our goal this year, in addition to just signing the new folks that came to our district, is to kind of whittle down the folks that had refused to sign for whatever reason. I'm sure union leaders on here have gotten like those stupid Heritage Foundation postcards or emails to your members as well too. And we found out like last year, I think it was like March, maybe. I think I was bugging you, Jessica, about this freaking out. Everyone got an email from the Heritage Foundation directly to their school account. And it was really frustrating because I'm like, that's not public record. Like a nonprofit corporation funded by, these all terrible groups should not have access to my members' data. And I was really proud of our membership because they started calling me at the union office and saying they were marking them as spam, telling them to go, take a walk, although they were using more colorful language. And we ended up having the IT department block it as well too, just marking it as spam. But we still have a few folks that did opt out, and we kind of want to go meet with them directly. So we would definitely use our contact language that allows us to meet with them for 30 minutes. What's the Lynn translation for taking a while? I can't say that. I'm sure there's people that have children sitting in the background somewhere. But yeah, we were able to kind of maintain our density because we negotiated the language in the contract very clearly, and it was a pretty easy thing to kind of for us to polarize around, because when we're negotiating as a school committee, we can say, look, you guys can support us and organize the union, or we can be more direct about it, kind of what Babs was saying earlier, and noting, that we can fight. Why don't you just let us build our density so we can have a collaborative relationship that way too? So.
Great, thank you. And again, we wanted to share some of these tips and ideas because we know that sometimes it is a challenge, particularly going back to a new school year to find those members and sign them up. and to maintain a strong density and strong membership when there might be turnover and such. So we wanted to share some of those best practices. So do you all have any tips for other locals this fall about what they might be able to do, or something that you're working on or trying that hopefully might help to also increase your membership density or at least keep it high? Babs,
Baz, if
Phil,
it's
you want
okay with you, I'll go first.
to?
So I think one thing that we have to really fine tune my local, we do a building rep training every year. And we always try and tweak it a little bit, but I think what our training this year needs to be about is how to have the one-on-one conversation with a member that's refused to join multiple times, right? These are the folks that we often try and say they're not part of the union, we don't care about them, but they do benefit directly from our contract. And as Jessica noted earlier, the more members we have, the stronger we are, particularly like members that maybe don't share our politics or political ideologies and whatnot, but sharing directly that the union is not necessarily, always going to be Democrats, although we tend to vote for them because Republicans never vote with us, but as a working class institution that benefits all workers. So even if you don't share the same values with us or on a certain amount of issues, you can still, care about your students. So like earlier today, I was talking to one of my union reps who is like a big, big Trumper. And she thinks of me as like this kind of wacky lefty type. But we work really well because we understand very clearly that our job is to enforce the contract. And if we can enforce the contract, the other members in that school, regardless of what their politics are, they're going to see the union as the institution that's servicing them, providing them security, and then solidarity as well, too.
Thanks, Phil. Babs?
I'm gonna kind of follow suit with Phil. We do need to focus on some of our like longtime holdouts and try to see what's holding them back. We're gonna be really pushing for a lot of that, and we will be. I'm planning on having the program reps take some MOI trainings, and yeah, we're just gonna keep trying to figure out where to meet people and try to get them aboard because our struggle is their struggle and their struggle is our struggle, and eventually they'll have to see it.
Great. Thank you both so much. Some of our strength actually does just literally come from just sharing best practices with each other. And as we continue to try different methods to organize and mobilize our members, hopefully that we can learn from each other and so that all of us are stronger. So thank you both again so much for joining us. And if you have other ideas of how we can continue to engage new members and support our building reps and our building captains and meet everyone where they're at, definitely to continue to talk with each other and share with each other, particularly at our fall conference coming up on September 19th. So we will share more information about that. But that's another opportunity for us to come together and learn from each other across the state. So thanks again so much to Phil and Babs. Speaking of challenges, though, we do know that there are a lot of challenges that our locals are facing, and these are some of the challenges that we've been continue to work on throughout the summer. So we know that there's a perfect storm right now of increased costs, growing needs, loss of federal funding, unsustainable state funding system, which is then resulting in unprecedented fiscal crises, which is resulting in staff layoffs, bigger class sizes, etc. And so we have been throughout the year trying to do everything we can. Again, the reason why we do get involved in politics is because politics impacts a lot of all of the issues that we're facing right now with our funding gaps. Um, so we were calling for emergency supplemental funding. We are proud that Governor Healy did file that supplemental funding. We have not given up on it, even though it did not make it through the last few months of the legislative cycle. We're hopeful that maybe something can actually happen still in the fall. We are fighting for reforms to the ways that we fund public education, and we were able to have some small wins. So specifically, we asked for a ESL reserve fund. Some of our districts were decimated by plunges in enrollment due to, the impacts of ICE terror campaigns, particularly in places like Chelsea that lost 10% of its population in schools. Boston alone had 1,600 students, and the predictions are that it's going to drop even more, unfortunately. And so we were advocating for a reserve fund that we did get 4 million through the House budget. We are also named on the Foundation Budget Review Commission, which finally got passed as well. So that we're going to look at the foundation budget and how we can reform it to make sure that that districts like Amesbury and other places that may not be considered usually the gateway cities are still also fully funded. And there were other wins around the unprecedented levels of unrestricted UGA funds, is what they're called. We do need to make sure that those UGA funds then are used for our schools, but that was a huge increase in the budget. And then there was also increased oversight of special education transportation costs. We know transportation costs is one of the driving high costs in school districts as well. So we are going to continue to tackle those funding gaps. But again, this is why our focus this November on elections is so important, is we need to have people in the legislature who are going to fight for our public schools and our public services, our librarians, our higher ed communities, and the bills that they pass and the budgets they pass absolutely impact the work that we do every day and our ability to win strong contracts and address the affordability crisis so that our members are able to afford the basic necessities of life that they should be able to afford. Next slide, please. Another challenge that we are currently facing too is that there is a big push from the last federal legislation, the called the One Big Beautiful Bill, but it was very ugly actually. And one of the ugly pieces of that bill was that they are trying to get vouchers in more states, including Massachusetts, and calling them scholarship opportunities, which is just really actually a masquerade for another name for vouchers, which we know are very unpopular. They hurt public school students, they hurt our public schools. It is not free money on the table. And so we've been working with a community coalition to urge the governor not to opt into these funds because it would open the door to vouchers, which would then becomes public money subsidizing private schools. And then less funding for our public schools. So you can find more information at ma.aft.org/voucher opt out. But if you are part of a community organization or faith-based organization or institution, civic association, community organization, we would love for your community organization or affiliation to join the Protect Our Public Schools campaign. So please do consider going to protectourpublicschools.com. And if you are a part of an organization that can join our coalition, ask them to join. Um, so that's another one of the challenges that we're facing this fall. Another one is around school safety. We are really proud to have advocated for schools and higher ed at campuses, public ones, and also childcare centers to be included in the Protect Act, which was signed into law, and we were proud to be at the signing just a couple weeks ago. Guidance over the last week has come out, and so we wanted to make sure that everyone knows about all the resources that we have to ensure that our schools and colleges and campuses are safe places. Our libraries couldn't be included because they're controlled by each different district municipality, but that doesn't mean we don't have resources for our librarians as well. So we have a number of workshops that you can reach out to Emma to get in your locals. There's also the state guidance that is now available with the latest protections from the Protect Act. And then wanted to make sure everyone also knows that there is a toolkit that we have, a school defense toolkit as well, that helps everyone to think through ways that you can um, advocate for your families and communities. And we actually have Lori Miranda today here with us from the Salem Teachers Union to talk about how Salem has been able to implement some of these policies and practices to keep their students in school safe. So Lori, I'm going to pass it to you.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So, as Jessica just said, I'm Lori Miranda. I represent the Salem Teachers Union. And so we've been pretty busy actively trying to get involved and in terms of we've been working with Luce, for example. So we've established a really positive relationship with Luce in Salem. And something that we sort of kind of were put on hold a little bit in terms of our school safety. I'm sure a lot of you are aware that Salem, we lost our superintendent because he's now our DESE Secretary of Education. So there's been a process of trying to find a new superintendent. So we now have one. He officially started, I think it was around the second week of this month, Dr. Tommy Welch. And so my awesome union president, Ann Berman, and I are going to meet with him and discuss to just to make sure he still wants to move forward in terms of the work that we already started in Salem in the spring around school safety and having captains, volunteers from STU in all of our schools to continue with that communication and working with Luce. Again, as I mentioned in past town hall meetings, Luce is very receptive. They want to work with the union, they want to work with the city, they want to work with the schools. And one good part of that was that I went to the district and we had our back to school fair last week, and I asked them on behalf of Luce if they wanted Luce to have a table set up, and they said absolutely, please come. So I organized that, and we had a bunch of volunteers that for 4 hours that were at our back to school fair, and we gave out information around Luce, including the WhatsApp um, that families can sign up for. The families were just so grateful that we were there. We have languages of information in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and Haitian Creole. And we also passed out Know Your Rights cards in all four of the different languages. And so, yeah, so that's what, like over the summer, like, what we've been working on. And once Ann and I meet with the superintendent, the new superintendent, and just make sure that, I'm sure we feel pretty confident he's going to be supportive of the work that we've already started. But obviously, because he's new, we just want to make sure, that he will, he's on board with us, and then we'll continue moving forward in the work that we've been doing. But again, the community was so, oh my God, the feedback we got from so many community members, the flyers we had on our table, just they're so receptive, and the community was just so grateful for it. So I'm excited. I'm hoping that we can continue to move forward in our collaboration.
Thank you so much, Lori. And this work really just takes the community coming together and building trust and actually small efforts, even just having red cards available, signal to our communities and our families that we do care and we're looking out for them. And so thank you so much for sharing some of the things that you've been leading and doing in Salem. And that has been really helpful because then we are able to take those examples and share it with DESE and the EOE and the AG's office for when they put out this guidance. And so if you look at the guidance that we shared earlier that came out, it's reflective of a lot of the work that's already been done in Salem and Chelsea and Boston and Lynn and other places that have been confronting a lot of these issues. So Lori, do you have any last pieces of advice for anyone who, might feel overwhelmed about how to even implement some of this work?
It can be a little overwhelming, but I will tell you that when we reached out to all of the schools and asked for volunteers to be captains, that so many of our educate, in fact, it's a good problem to have. We had well over the amount of people that we really needed to step up and be a captain. And so many of our educators and paras, like everybody really wants to help and be, just make sure that our schools are safe. And so don't be hesitant to reach out and ask your members for help around something like this, because so many people really want to help out, and they know that this what's happening is wrong, and we just want our community to be safe.
Thanks so much, Lori.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, and the Protect Act hopefully will help you to do that and give it's another tool. And every district now is supposed to have a plan. And so who do you call if ICE is on a school campus? What is the plan? There needs to be a plan now. And it also ensures that families can actually authorize guardianship in case someone is unfortunately detained. There's a pre-authorization form, and also that they cannot do arrests on these sensitive sites without a judicial warrant. And, we aren't trained to know the difference between administrative or judicial warrants. That's why it's really important for these protocols to be in place and for people to be informed. And there is so much that we can do. And so, again, please do check out the guidance available. It's for different communities. So you'll see the K-12 guidance, the higher ed guidance, and then again, our toolkit that has taken a lot of these best practices, not just from our state, but also from Chicago, LA, and DC and other places as well. So we have lots of resources, and we just want to make sure everyone knows that they are available for everyone. So thank you again to Lori and everyone who was a part of the focus groups that we did just a couple weeks ago, or what maybe that was actually just last week before the guidance came out, with the AG's office, the Executive Office of Education, as well as DESE. And if you have any questions, Emma is our point person on staff, so you can reach out to her anytime to set up a workshop or learn more about the guidance and what that means for our schools and communities. Okay, last but not least is our plans to win. So again, our powers are in our collective action, and when we can connect the dots between affordability, or having strong contracts with raises to make a life more affordable for our members, but also fighting for our communities that impacts our families and our students and the people, the communities that come into our libraries and public service offices, then we will have more wins. And one way we need to win is to elect people who also support our causes and values. And again, it's, the politics is not why I got into teaching, but the politics impact everything that we do every day. And we will work with anybody who is going to help us in our causes. And that includes, people who are Republicans and Democrats. To Phil's point earlier, unfortunately, Republicans, we looked at an analysis actually at AFT, only vote with us 8% of the time, whereas Democrats do vote for us over 90% of the time, which is why disproportionately we do support Democrats. But that doesn't mean we don't work with, for example, Republican Senator Pat O'Connor, who I was talking with just yesterday, and we've been in communications about the R Plus bill, for example. But we do need to elect people who are going to fight for us. And so if we can go to the next slide. We do have a primary voter guide. Early voting has already started. And this new voter guide that we put together, and thank you to our team. We have a Pell team, political and electoral legislative team, and Rory, Tefa, and Ava, and Brian in particular, who helped put this together. And we want to make sure everyone knows that this is available to help you understand what's going on with the primary elections. And I think I'm passing it actually over to Brian now to talk a little bit more about all of our endorsed candidates.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. Talk about the federal candidates. What we have done so far for September 1 on the ballot is we've endorsed through our AFT MA COPE committee. They are a committee on political education, and they vetted the candidates and had questionnaires filled out and got their responses that are very favorable to us. And then we followed up with interviews and so forth. And then they're recommending body. So they recommend to the AFT MAS vice presidents, the executive board members, who then affirm those decisions. So what we have going into Tuesday is our very own incumbent U.S. Senate candidate running for re-election, Senator Ed Markey. He's being challenged by Congressman Moulton. Ed has been a champion for us, a labor champion for us, an education champion for us. I can't say enough, and the board and so forth. We've got to get Senator Markey back for his work he is doing on the Paraprofessional Bill of Rights nationally. And he is just there. Whenever Jessica needs to pick up the phone, he seems to be at the ready. He's helped us in places like Lynn with our paraprofessional who was being detained through ICE. He had one of his staffers on the call with us very quickly and help with that whole situation. So not only do we get the senator, but we get his capable staff as well, and they're all very highly effective staffers. So statewide, please, if you have already voted, I hope you voted for Senator Markey. If you are voting in person on Tuesday, we'd love for you to vote for Senator Markey to reelect him and help in the campaign any way we can, labor to labor. Also, around the same congressional district now, CD8, is we've endorsed a challenger, Patrick Roth. Patrick Roth is a very able and he has run a very strong campaign against a longtime incumbent, Stephen Lynch. And people may say, well, Stephen Lynch he's a former iron worker, he's a former president, he's a union. He may be good for the building trades. We have not seen or heard much from Congressman Lynch over his over 20-year tenure being a congressman from South Boston, from this area, with a lot of our members. We have about 3,000 members approximately, and even more if you take into consideration households. So we are looking to flip this seat with Patrick Roth, who is an attorney by trade. He's very amenable to obviously against the National Voucher Program. He's against charter expansion. He's really checked a lot of our boxes for organized labor, and he will be more than anything a person that Jessica Brandt, they can communicate directly with Patrick in his office if he prevails. So it's an important race, not only for Boston, but along that CD8. It's Newton, it's all the way down south, all the way down to Brockton and Attleboro and so forth. So this area of the district is very important to us, and we are urging folks to vote for Patrick Roth this Tuesday and upset Congressman Lynch.
Yeah,
and I think he's on his way to doing it.
And I'll just say too that unfortunately, Congressman Lynch also started a charter school, helped to found one, and then also supported the charter school expansion. So that is another reason he hasn't been great for public education.
Yeah, he was one of the last holdovers to actually vote against the ACA, which was known as Obamacare at the time as well. So just have not had a great positive relationship with the congressman. Looking forward to the legislative now, there are some legislative races that we're going to be focusing on Tuesday. These are folks who have primary challenges or they're seeking the seat that's vacant. And they are in no particular order. Well, I think it's in alphabetical order, actually. But Marjorie Decker of Cambridge is running for re-election, the 25th Middlesex. We are supporting Marjorie on Tuesday. John Drinkwater up in Lowell, in that area of Lowell and Tewksbury, 17th Middlesex. He's a Labor candidate as well. Lisa Field is a former Mass Nurses Association legislative staffer, and she's down in the Taunton and Eastern area, the 3rd Bristol. Jim Hawkins of Attleboro, an incumbent who we've supported in the past, former MTA teacher and member. Tara Hong up in Lowell has always been, in his first term, very accessible for AFT Mass and working with Tara. He's trying to fend off a challenger in the 18th Middlesex. Chris Lampton down the Cape, the 1st Barnstable seat. We have a lot of retirees down there, and we'd love to see Chris get that open seat from Chris Flanagan, who's not running for re-election. Joe Markey in the open seat of Brad Hill, I believe, in Linfield and North Reading and Reading, the 20th Middlesex, trying to flip that from Republican to Democrat. And Jim O'Day out of Boylston near the Worcester area. He's a longtime incumbent, and he has a primary challenge. And last but certainly not least is Angela Pupolo of the Springfield Longmeadow area, and he's in the 12th Hampton. All of these folks legislatively in the House are worthy of re-election. They've all filled out questionnaires. They've all come to the interviews for us, and we've all recommended and done mailings in your respective districts. Wherever you may live, you may have got a mailing from us about these candidates and how really good they are. And they lead with union values. They are going to help us leverage power at the State House. They're going to have open communication with educators, and they are very pro-public education and pro-organized labor. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Brian. And these candidates are a part of our voter guide, so you can see them there. But if you do want to have that specific slide, definitely feel free to reach out um, to Rory or Brian or Teffa. And speaking of Teffa, Teffa's here to talk to us a little bit more about the ballot questions. We have a lot of ballot questions that are not going to be on the primary ballot, but will be coming up on the November ballot. And so we wanted to preview some of those ballot questions for you all. Teffa.
Thank you, Madam President, like Brian says. Hello, everybody. This is Tafa. If you haven't met me before, I am the political organizer here at AFT Massachusetts. A little bit of context is that at the beginning of this year, we had seen 11 ballot questions, and we had a ballot question guide based on positions that we had taken on those ballot questions. As the summer came, there was a ratification of those ballot questions, and now 9 of them will actually be on the ballot. And so this is a new version of the ballot question guide for you to have for towards this November, not only for you to vote with us, but also for you to talk to your community, to talk to your members about these issues that are so important to us that we have taken positions on them. So we'll take a look at some of the key questions. We have endorsed 5 questions out of the 9 questions. The first one that we're endorsing is collective bargaining for CPCSs. So this is yes, we want to vote yes on this. Basically, SEIU 888 attempted to organize the collective bargaining, the Committee for Public Counsel Services, and their petition was denied. And this was because they argued that the employees were not explicitly included in the laws establishing collective bargaining rights. So when we pass this question together, that will mean that the CPCS employees will be able to have a right to collective bargaining. And as teachers, we know how important it is as teachers and many of the different areas of work that we're part of. We know how important our contract negotiations are for us to maintain our union and our livelihood and dignity. Second question is a no on 3. So this question is the top 2 primary system. And this is an issue where people with a lot of money and that would like to influence elections with their money want to say that not having primaries, like what we're about to have on Tuesday, that are by party, will have will open up a space for more people to be able to win and move into the next stage. But it has been proven that this is not true. It has been proven that when we don't have the current system, people with more money always end up passing on to the next round, and people with grassroots efforts are not able to have a competitive race. And so we are voting no on question number 3. The next question is yes on 4. And this one is the best. I think that teachers, I don't even have to explain why, but it's same day voter registration. We understand in this time, we are not only defending our democracy, but we want to make sure that the democracy is more accessible. And so we're voting yes to support same day voter registration. Not only is removing barriers to voting, but is also, again, strengthening our democracy. Then we're going to vote no on 5. This question is one of the more complex ones, and I think that is one of the most important ones, I would say. This question is rebating state funds. This question, we definitely have to vote no because this will have high impact on 2 important parts of our union, which is 1, our revenue, and 2, it will take us backwards in relationship to the raise up coalition for fair share amendment that we passed in 2022, where we started taxing the rich. And not only do we know that that is working, but it is a source of critical revenue for us. And so we definitely need to get everybody to vote no on 5 and to have conversations so that we do not pass rebating the state funds. These are the questions that are on the ballot. And the last one that I will speak about is the question 9. This is the question about keeping Massachusetts safe. There was a landmark gun safety law that was passed into 2024, and it's making us a leading state on gun protection. So this is an interesting question that I want to talk a little bit about because this is not a question that was put in the ballot by people collecting signatures. This is a question that, well, it did get put in the ballot by people collecting signatures, but the truth of the matter is that is being challenged. Like a law that has been passed is being challenged. So we currently are under this law, and people are saying that we should not have it. And we absolutely say we need to keep our libraries, we need to keep our communities and our schools with common sense gun laws and help us maintain critical gun safety measures. And so this question is a referendum and not necessarily a ballot question. And I invite you to look into that because it's really interesting how many things can happen in our legislation. So please check out the ballot question guide. We will be doing phone banks. We will be doing organizing. There's a lot of work to do on these. And so there will be a lot of asks for you and your members to get involved moving into the midterm elections.
Thank you so much, Teffa. And there is, again, a ballot voter guide to help you understand all the ballot questions because there are so many of them. Adrian also did a little summary of the ballot questions we've taken a position on. Uh, and um, and next up is just again, so there's a lot of ways to get involved in the elections this fall. So on the national level, again, we have the AFL-CIO and AFT Democracy Defender program. That's really for people who can commit to helping voters get the information they need. And so because there's a lot of misinformation out there, we know of campaigns where actually they had signs in Spanish that said, if you're a naturalized citizen, you can't vote. That's not true. And so community groups had to then have other signs that say, you can actually vote, right? There's a lot of misinformation and confusion out there. And so democracy defenders are people who can help voters get the information they need, particularly in places where we know that there are going to be some election shenanigans, I guess is what I'm going to call them, or obstruction. And so if you are able to do that work, particularly in other states that are critical states like Maine, Michigan, Pennsylvania, etc. This is particularly good maybe if you work part-time or on leave or recently retired. If you know of any people who are able to do that, who are AFT Mass members, we really do count on a lot of our retirees to do this work as well. Please do share this link with them. The Count Me In program is also about the national recruitment effort and trying to get people who are not just AFT Mass members, but their households. We actually vote at very high rates as AFT members, but our household voting rate is actually very low. And so we have to increase that. So just not make sure that you vote, but the people in your household vote as well. And so if you're interested in the activist recruitment program and reaching other AFT members and households, again, this is not just focused in Massachusetts, but outside the state as well. Please do consider joining the AFT's Count Me In program. All right, next slide, please. And how are we taking action together more locally? We have a new dashboard, which is called mobilize.us/AFT MA. And so if you're not sure what you want to do yet today, but maybe you have a Saturday that you have a free or a Sunday that you have free and want to know what you could do, you can go to our dashboard now to see all the upcoming events for AFT Mass. So you can see we have a virtual phone bank coming up. Our back to school town hall is tonight. We also have the Labor Day action coming up. And so as we have new opportunities, actions that you can participate in, you can always go to our Mobilize dashboard to see all the opportunities to get engaged and involved. Now, another way to get engaged and involved is locally. And so if you are interested in door knocking for any of the candidates that we've talked about today locally, phone banking, poll dressing on election day, poll watching, we are partnering with the Mass Fight Back Table and other organizations like Indivisible to ensure that there's poll watchers as well across the state. This is the form to sign up to get involved in the local elections. And so please do share this out again with your union members and your colleagues and get involved in the local Massachusetts races and election volunteer opportunities. And if you enjoy phone banking from the comfort of your home, we have a number of phone banking opportunities coming up as well. And these are all member to member. We've already had a phone bank recently with about 20 plus members, and they were able to call over 3,000 households. And so these phone banks really do matter. We would love to see more of you at some of our phone banks. And again, you can do it from the comfort of your own home at a time that works best for you. And so that's the QR code to RSV to join the phone banking team. Okay. So again, other ways to get engaged, involved, and grow our power and build our power and solidarity, not just with members across the state, but also with the larger AFL-CIO labor community, is to show up for our second annual Labor Day March and Parade. And so this is a photo from last year of some of the issues that we're fighting for collectively as educators, what we've won and what we're fighting for. This year, we are going to be elevating the Boycott Target campaign. You may have seen that Target was just in the news again yesterday, unfortunately, because of a terrible costume that should not have been. I don't know how it made it to the stores. But in addition to that, we're standing in solidarity with our unions in Minnesota. They have asked Target repeatedly to not work with ICE and to ensure that that the business community was standing with people who have been unfortunately harmed by ICE, and they haven't fully done that. And so that's why we're boycotting Target and asking people to shop locally at Stop and Shop, at Costco, and other places to get your school supplies. So we'll be elevating that. And the number of the other unions will be sharing their corporate targets as well. But this is going back a little bit into the election piece, if you didn't see also, there was a Supreme Court ruling on limiting mail-in ballots. So again, when we talk about election protection, we really are talking about things that are already happening that are obstructing people who should be able to vote from voting. And so that's why that work is still so important. Okay, so after Labor Day, we have another opportunity for us to come together, not just virtually, but in person. And so we're encouraging everyone to join us at our fall conference this year. It's going to be September 19th. We are going to be at Chelmsford High School this year. We try to move around so that all of our locals can see each other's work and in communities as well. Last year, Norfolk Aggie hosted us, and that was incredible. We got to see all the animals that they work with as well after the conference. So we won't have animals at Chelmsford High School, but we are excited about all of the workshops and offerings that we will have. So please do come out to Chelmsford for our fall conference. Our goal is always to have at least one, if not more, representatives from each of our locals across Massachusetts. And we'll have different tools that are going to work on skill building, resources that will help you to engage your members and strengthen your locals. Everything from strong contract campaigns to organizing to, again, really focus on our elections this fall as well. So please do RSVP and reserve your spot ASAP. And another event we have coming up is AI 101 webinar series. So we are very concerned about AI right now in schools, and this is probably going to be a piece of legislation that we want to file in the new legislative cycle, while we continue to ensure that our plus gets done. And I have been in touch, every day, honestly, every week I'm in touch with our legislators to try to get our plus over the finish line, and hopeful that they're going to meet again. I talked to the chair, one of the chairs, just yesterday, that it'll hopefully happen at the beginning of September. We were trying to get it done by August 29th, but that is not likely at this point, despite our best efforts. But we are already thinking forward to new pieces of legislation. We know AI is top of mind for a lot of our members, and we continue to be really concerned about the Alpha Schools that is partnering now in Springfield and opening schools in Boston, the virtual schools, and even, believe it or not, a robot replacing a paraprofessional in New York. And we do not want to see more of that. I can't make this stuff up. That robot was built by a company that actually usually builds sex robots. This is real life that's happening right now. So we want to, not put our heads in the sand because we know AI is already in our classrooms and schools, and there are ways in which AI can be helpful to educators, but there are a lot of guardrails that need to go up, and we need to stay informed. And so we're interested in introducing legislation to ensure that AI is not done to us. And that we are at the table for any of the conversations and trying to stop some of these bad initiatives that are happening. So you can sign up for that webinar series. And then last but not least, please do stay informed. We have a very active presence on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky as well. We have a YouTube channel. This town hall is being recorded and we'll share it out in the newsletter that's going out. And if there's a specific slide you need, definitely reach out to Rory. And we also want to hear from you. So if there's something we didn't cover that you'd like to learn more about, if there's a resource you need, if there is something that you think we need to look into or we can support your locals or your members with, definitely feel free to reach out. So that is actually our full program. We actually ended a little early, but happy to stay on for a few more minutes if there are any questions from any of our folks here today with us. Great. Well, we are here for you all. We, like I said, have been really busy throughout the summer and we'll continue to be in touch with you this fall. Our power is definitely in our collective action and solidarity. And if you need anything from us, just reach out. We're here for you.